there anybody here that can thank God through your ups and your downs, in your ins and your outs, in your coming and your going? Somebody shout, I survived. I survived. I survived. I don't know what you're going through, but you ought to give God glory that you survived. Days where I didn't have food in the refrigerator, but I didn't starve to death. I survived. Times I turned on my lights and it didn't work, but in the dark I still survived. My grades wasn't right, but thank God I still passed the test. I survived. Somebody in this room know what it means to barely pass, but at least you passed. Look at somebody and say, I survived. Listen, let me give you something that will help disarm the enemy. Let me give you something that will help you disarm the enemy. When the enemy runs your receipts back in your mind, you tell them, yeah, I remember when I did it, but I thank God I survived it. Hear me? Because I don't know about you, but I thank God that he died for my dumb days. I thank God that he died for my dumb days. I thank God that he died for my dumb decisions. When I wasn't acting right, he died for me. When I wasn't living right, he died for me. So he took my sins where? At the cross. At the cross lies my dumb days. At the cross lies my dumb decisions. At the cross lies my dumb moments. Thank God I survived. Point number one was a down payment. There are some moments in your life you're going to be down. There are moments in your life that you're going to be down. And even in those dumb moments, in those down moments, God is still up to something. Point number one is a down payment. Point number two, I want to talk about paying dues. Somebody said paying dues. The text says, hear me, and also some women who had been cured of evil diseases, spirits and diseases. Mary called Magdalene were one of the women who was there. This was the woman who had been healed of 7 demons. And these women, Mary who was there, these women were helping to support them out of their means. They were helping to support Jesus and his ministry out of their means. The operative word in this text is support. Somebody say support. Jesus says, where your treasure is, your heart will also be. Eugene Peterson in the Message version says it this way. He says, the place where your treasure is the place where you will most want to be and end up being. So Mary had this dilemma that Jesus delivered her from, and from that day forward, she dedicated her means in support of him. Let me read that again. Mary had a dilemma that Jesus delivered her from, and from that day forward, she dedicated her resources to support of him. So it is not my objective to make this deep theological methodology on the reciprocity of humanity unto deity. But if we engage the text chronologically, ideally it suggests salvation and then service. It is not my objective to make this deep theological methodology on the reciprocity of humanity unto deity. But if we engage the text chronologically, ideally it suggests salvation and then service. Make that plain, preacher. If we look at the text chronologically or in the sequence of events, we'll see in this order salvation and then service. If we look at this text chronologically or in the sequence of events, we'll see that she had demons, she was delivered, and then she became dedicated. If I believe that if Jace was reading this text, he would understand, he would tell me that, Devin, there is a rhythm to this text. There is a rhythm. Y'all don't see the rhythm yet. Here's a rhythm. Let me help you with the rhythm. I've been saved, therefore I serve. There is a rhythm here. I'm grateful to God, therefore I give unto God. Catch the rhythm. I was rescued by God, therefore I render my life unto God. There's a rhythm there. I was delivered from demons, therefore I am dedicated forever. There is a rhythm there. Lord, I know I've been changed, and because I've been changed, I'm called to be committed. There is a rhythm. I choose it because you first loved me. I now live for you. There is a rhythm in the text. Because you found me, I will always be found following you. There is a rhythm to this text, and the mistake that many of us make is that we miss the opportunity. Here we miss the opportunity to support, to sow by way of support. The mistake that many of us make is that we miss the opportunity to sow by way of supporting. Somebody say support. Watch this. You will not always be the celebrity of the story. I think I just broke somebody's good news right there. Who tend to think that it's always all about whose greatest hits is Janet Jackson. What have you done for me lately? You will not always be the hero or the celebrity of the story. And until you are walking into your due season, hear me, it is your season to pay dues. Until you are walking into your due season, it is now your season to pay dues. It is what you do in this season that sets the stage for your due season. Hear me. It is what you do in this season that sets the stage for your season. See, everybody wants to be King David, but nobody wants to do the things that David did before he became king. Did you hear what I just said? Everybody wants to be King David, but nobody is willing to do the things that David did before he became king. The Bible lets us know that David's brothers were at the feast in line for God's favor, but David was found where? In the field. David's brothers were at the feast in line for God's favor, but David was found in the field. Can I suggest to you that the path unto favor is found in the field? The pathway to God's favor, somebody shout favor. It's crazy that we say favor loud, but we say field real low. That was a test, by the way. Somebody shout favor. Say field. Yeah, The pathway to God's favor is found in the field. David's brothers were all at the feast waiting in line to be blessed. But when the oil did not flow, they said, wait, do you have another son? He says, yeah, he's in the field. You missed it. David's brothers were at the feast in line. David was in the field. They were in the feast in line. They were looking for the favor. David was in the field, and the favor came looking for him. I'm trying to help somebody get free. I don't know what you want God to do in your life, but the favor that you want from God can't be found in the line. It got to be found in the field. I don't know what God has given you to do, but do it as unto the Lord. You got to be found in the field. Everybody wants Boaz, but Ruth didn't find Boaz. Boaz found Ruth in the field. Oftentimes we want to be rescued from our infirmities. We want God to swoop in and rescue us. But God is saying, what are you doing until I show up? God is asking the question, what are you doing until your change comes? Are you making somebody else's day better? All of us have a field to work. It ain't about what you have and what you don't have. God says, in the field, use what you have left. Until you walk in your due season, it is your season to pay your dues. Because you don't get to, watch this, you don't get to Matthew 27 at his feet until you go to Matthew 8 with your hands up. The quickest way to get God to move is if you're moving on behalf of somebody else. We oftentimes don't look at God as competitive, but he's more competitive than Kobe. We always say Mike was super competitive, Kobe was super competitive. Nobody's more competitive than God. Because there was an old song that said, you can't be God-given. So he's saying, y'all ain't going to beat me at what I do. So the quickest way to get God to move is you got to move on behalf of somebody else, not yourself. And oftentimes we make the mistake of thinking, oh, I got to get all I can. God said, no, give away all you can. Because if you give away all you can, I'll make sure you have more cans to give. If you give away all you can, I'll make sure you have more cans to give. So how do you get God to move? By working your field. David didn't come to the feast. He was in the field. And the favor came looking for him in the field. Somebody say in the field. Oh, they got it now. Point number 1 was down payment. Point number 2 was paying dues. Point number 3, I want to talk about the payoff. Somebody said the payoff. Matthew 27, 55 and 56 says, there were also quite a few women watching from a distance. Women who had followed Jesus from Galilee in order to serve him. And among them were Mary Magdalene, Mary, the mother of James and Joseph, and Salome, Mary, the mother of the Zebedee brothers. 3 different Marys and Mary. Well, Mary, and Salome. So the crucifixion of Jesus provides us with a bit of a backdrop. They're at the cross. And so Matthew is here at the cross identifying these individuals who were there with Jesus at the cross. And so there was, at the cross, was this exceptional woman by the name of Mary. And of the hundreds and thousands who wanted from Jesus, there stood Mary, who only wanted to serve Jesus. At the time of his greatest trial, when those had walked away from him, there stood Mary Magdalene at the cross. All four canonical Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, all attest that both the crucifixion and the burial of Jesus stood Mary Magdalene. Next to the mother of Jesus stood Mary Magdalene. Just a few days later, the first person to see Jesus as a risen Savior was Mary Magdalene. The woman who ran and told the other disciples, "Come, look," was none other than Mary Magdalene. And so when we look at this text, permanently posted on the marquee of this manuscript stands Mary Magdalene. I think I said that so fast that you missed it. Here is this woman who, in a patriarchal society, male-dominated, patriarchal society, this woman managed to have her name, watch this, permanently posted. Here was this woman who had 7 demons, a dirty background, a dirty reputation. Here was this woman whose name is permanently posted in the pages. For 5 of y'all in this room, I came to let you know that you're here today because you paid to be here. Mary's work paid off. Here was this woman who should not even been in his company, but throughout his ministry, there stood Mary Magdalene. Through all the souls that he saved, stood Mary Magdalene. Through all the people that he fed, they talk about the boys, but in the crowd, it's Mary Magdalene. Through all the bodies that he healed, the folk that he laid out, the ones who helped cover with the sheets, Baptists, it was Mary Magdalene. Maybe she was over the children's ministry. We don't know. But we do know that through the midst of it all stood Mary Magdalene. Through his moments of outreach, there stood Mary Magdalene. In reach, that was Mary Magdalene. Outreach, that was Mary Magdalene. At the cross, when everybody abandoned him, there stood one. And so the question was asked, Mary, how did you get to be here with your background? Mary said, my days of serving paid off. My grandma used to say something like this: you don't get it now, but you'll get it you'll get it later in the by and by. If you just keep on serving God, somebody says it's going to pay off after a while. Is there anybody here who got an old church in them? Who says, listen, it's going to pay off after a while. If I just keep on loving, it's going to pay off after a while. If I keep on serving, it's going to pay off after a while. If I keep on singing, it's going to pay off after a while. If I keep on dancing, it's going to pay off. Mary, how did you get here? She says, I paid to get here. I paid with my blood. I paid to get here. I paid with my tears, but I paid to get here. I paid by way of sweat equity, but I paid to get here. There is somebody in this place who's gone through hell and high water. Paid to get here. So if I try to state my claim as I was trying to do in the beginning, when I think about everybody else who had an excuse to give up, the thing that separates people with excuses and people Exceptions, exceptional people do not hide behind their excuse. So everything that the devil has done to try to end your life, the reason why you survived it is because you're the exception.